All right, let's talk about the iPhone. You know the drill. Every September, Apple rolls out the new models, and almost immediately, you hear this collective groan from the internet. The upgrades feel so small, so minor. But what if I told you that feeling of disappointment isn't a mistake? What if it's actually the secret to one of the most brilliant and lucrative marketing strategies on the planet? Yeah, this right here. This sounds familiar, right? You've probably thought it, maybe you've even said it or typed it into a comment section. It's the number one complaint we hear every single year. It just feels like they're phoning it in, giving us the same thing with a new number slapped on the back. And this whole cycle, it's become a tradition. The annual disappointment. We get hyped up for the big keynote, we watch Tim Cook on stage, and then a little bit of a letdown. But what if that feeling is exactly what they want us to feel? Our first instinct is to call it lazy, a lack of innovation. But let's just pause on that for a second. What if we're looking at this completely backwards? What if this disappointment isn't a failure? What if it's a feature? Because that's the core of this whole thing. The feeling of being underwhelmed, the endless online debates about whether it's worth it to upgrade. None of it is an accident. It's all part of a very deliberate, very calculated, and frankly, genius-level marketing strategy. So let's get into their deliberate strategy. At its heart, it's about turning all of our chatter into cash. Apple wants us talking, they want us complaining, they want us arguing. Why? Because every single second we spend debating a tiny camera bump or a new color, we are literally doing their marketing for them, for free. And that's what we mean by free marketing. I mean, think about it. Even when people are complaining that the upgrades are too small, what are they still talking about? The iPhone. They're comparing the new one to the old one, debating the specs. They're keeping the iPhone at the absolute center of the tech conversation. Apple gets to dominate the news cycle without spending a single penny on those ads. Okay, so how does this actually work in practice? This whole strategy isn't just some happy accident. No, it's built on three really strong pillars that work together perfectly. Let's break them down. So here are the three pillars. First step, keeping manufacturing costs way down. When you only make small, tiny changes year over year, you don't have to completely retool your factories. That means bigger profit margins on every single phone. Smart. Pillar 2 is that free publicity machine we were just talking about. The controversy becomes their number one ad campaign. And then there's the third pillar, which is my favorite. It builds anticipation. When this year's phone feels like a tiny step, what does everyone immediately start saying? Oh, well, next year's going to be the big one. It's this clever cycle that keeps you waiting, keeps you in their ecosystem, instead of jumping ship to a competitor. So what's all this free publicity actually worth? What's the real, tangible payoff for this supposedly boring upgrade strategy? Well, it's not just a nice little bonus for them. It's a number so huge, it's almost hard to believe. Let's actually try and put a number on it. How much is all of that chatter? The good reviews, the bad reviews, the angry tweets? How much is it all worth to Apple every time they launch a new phone? $5 billion. Just let that sink in for a moment. $5 billion. That's the estimated value of all the free media coverage and publicity Apple gets from this whole cycle. To put that in perspective, that's bigger than the entire economy of some countries. It's an advertising budget that most companies could only dream of, and Apple gets it for free. Every single year. And where does that $5 billion come from? Well, it comes from all of us. It's the tech reviewers, the Twitter debates, the thousands of YouTube comparison videos, the online articles. It's all of it. If you have ever posted a comment or watched a video debating whether the iPhone 15 is better than the 14, guess what? You've contributed to that number. Every complaint is just another ad for Apple. Okay, so now that we know this strategy, now that we can see the game being played, how do we beat it? As consumers, how do we navigate this incredibly smart marketing machine without just being a pawn in their game? So here's a little game plan. First, and most importantly, just recognize the game. Honestly, now that you know how it works, you're already way less likely to fall for it. Second, just ignore the annual release cycle. If your current phone works just fine, there is zero reason to feel pressured. Third, and this one is so important, try not to engage with the hype or the hate. Remember, a positive comment and a negative comment both fuel the same $5 billion machine. And finally, the simplest rule of all. Upgrade when you need a new phone, not when a company tells you that you should want one. And that brings us right back to where we started. That gut reaction to call the new upgrades lazy, well, that wasn't a bug in their plan. It was the main feature all along. You were playing your part in their script perfectly. So I'll just leave you with this final thought, because this is so much bigger than just Apple. The next time you find yourself passionately arguing online about a new movie or a video game or a car, just take a second and ask yourself, are you just sharing your opinion, or are you maybe part of their marketing plan?